everybody, it's Cinnamon Coney, your art Sherpa. How are you guys doing today? I hope fantastic. I am so thrilled to actually be here live, showing you how you can paint this fabulous golden Christmas tree without any brushes. I love that part. On the mic today is my husband, John.
Hi, guys.
And he is going to be tracking me with all my cameras so you can see how fun and easy and all level of painter friendly this project is. This really is for everybody. And also, I'd like to say, if you guys were asking, it's a half hoot.
Yeah, I love this painting. I almost wanted to do this painting so much. I was like, it was like one of those, I just wanted to come in there and make it because I thought it looked so pretty. The yellow tree, the golden pine. I thought this was great. This is a really, really nice painting.
So this should be a lot of fun to do. And of course, like everything, you can customize this up and do this a lot of different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at the materials so we know what we're using because they're fun materials today.
They're pretty simple too, huh?
Yeah, very simple materials. And based on your feedback from yesterday's, I even have a new hack trick for you so you can do this no matter what.
Ooh, cool.
All right, so I have here, this happens to be a 9x12 canvas board. Of course, you could use multimedia paper or acrylic paper or regular canvas. As usual, on our lives, I have some wishes. Rita has some wishes for her neighbor who is going through a life transition right now, and she just wants her to be supported and have strength and be loved. Zofia has so many wishes. She's lost her own furry pet, and she's just wishing out everyone else out there, if you've gone through that, for you guys to be supported because it's such a huge loss. And then we personally ourselves have a wish for little Brisby, kind of the unofficial in-group mascot in Facebook. He's a little squirrel that was rescued during the hurricanes, and he's just grown up so big, and now he's kind of going into the big wide world. So I just want to say that I personally have a wish that Brisby is always safe, and he always checks in with us so we know how he's doing. And I also have wishes for Janine. She just needs some cleaning fairies to come and inspire her in her house. Lisa needs to feel better. And then a really awesome, perfect, ideal job for Tanya. So those are our wishes today. Let's look at our materials. Okay, so over here in this pile, you see a bunch of stuff. So you're going to need some kitchen sponges without scrubbies, scissors. I like to get some Q-tips that are pre-bundled with rubber bands, and my tip here is get either the beauty kind or brand kind, because some of the generics are very fluffy and don't give you a result. A business card. I have the colors phthalo blue, phthalo green, titanium white, Dox purple, cadmium yellow, medium hue. Hue is very important. You want your cadmium to say hue or free and not have a warning label on it. Yellow oxide, palette knife for mixing, and of course, sippy coffee, because you got to be enjoying your painting space. Mm-hmm. You guys ready for this?
Yes, very much so. Man, this is we already have over 330 people here, so they're
330?
totally ready for our...
They're ready. They're like, all right, we'll give you one more chance with this no brush thing that you've got going on here. And I so appreciate it. I'm always so grateful when you guys show up. Something to note on this, while I'm getting this all ready, is that any kind of acrylic paint works here. Craft paint, heavy body paint, fluid paints, they all work. But the first thing you're going to want is a kitchen sponge. And you're going to want to get this damp. See, it doesn't leave any water on me. I can't wring anything out of it, but it's just slightly damp. And you're going to want to take your scissors and cut this in half. I find this is just an easier size for me to use. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. I did that. Oh, it didn't work. Okay. So, all right. Well, that's closing the barn door after the horse is out, but cool. So some of you guys, you could use for the snow sea sponges. We talked about this is listed in the materials below. Sea sponges make lovely fluffy snow. But some of you guys said, I don't have any access to sea sponges. What can I do? So I'm going to show you real quick. For your snow, you're going to want to take your sponge and you're going to want to snip it with your scissors. And then you're going to want to even come in horizontally. This would be like the worst bang haircut of your life.
So you're just snipping away.
Yeah. Imagine you're at camp somewhere and you're getting hazed and they cut your bangs. That would be kind of the equivalent of the type of cutting job that you're doing.
Oh,
but you're going to see that this makes it sort of fluffy, and you can get really, really very specific about it. And that's another great way to get some fluffy, rough edges. If you cannot get a sea sponge, and I'll demo both of those so you can see, let's mix our background and get this thing painted. Okay. So I've got some phthalo blue and some phthalo green. And what you're going to want to do is make some phthalo turquoise. And that's super easy because you just take 1 part blue and 1 part green and mix them together. And that's a nice way of getting that color. Add a little more blue to it because I think I was a little green lopsided. And you can even see as I'm scraping how this is very phthalo turquoise. I've got more of my color here if I need to make more. Rubbing that off, cleaning my palette knife, and let's load the sponge. So I think it's easiest if I come in and make my light color in the center. And to do that, I get just a hint of color. See, just a total hint of color. And some white. So we get that mixed up, which is sort of fun on the sponge. And you can see the load. We're using white today, so you can see that even better. And just come down the center of your canvas with this light color. Oh, I got some dirt there. Go away, go away.
Oh, that's a good thing to show people. Like, if you get some dirt in there, what do you do?
You just flick that off, and it's still there. All right. So in this particular case, you could get tweezers. You could get any tool that will let you get into it, pull it off, and it's gone. So I'm going to take this light color out further than maybe I need it. And I'm flipping my canvas over to have a good angle. And just continuing that streak to the bottom because I want all of my canvas painted before I add snow. But what you're looking to get from this sponge is just sort of a streaky effect, right? That's up and down. Just as straight up and down as you can be, like rain is falling, like snow is falling.
Yeah.
As you're coming out, you're going to want to darken this effect so it seems like there's this cascade of light that is coming down on your tree. And the trick here is to not, whether you're doing this with a brush or a sponge, the trick is going to be not to overwork it. Another thing that helps me is sometimes to go horizontally, just because of my workspace doesn't really lend itself to going to the end because I have this lip on my canvas. You might have something happening on your table where you need to be thinking outside of the box as well about how you're going to position your canvas for your best effect. If your brush is getting, if your sponge is getting dry, missed it.
There's some good hair cutting advice that's been going on in the
Oh,
chat.
really?
Oh, yeah. So some of the best, I think, that keeps repeating is like, never cut your hair in frustration.
Oh, yeah. Not during any emotional times of your life.
Yeah, that's been topical here. With our oldest, she's been interested in cutting her hair.
Yeah. All during stressful times, of course. And that's just, isn't that the way, though?
It is.
Paint a painting. That's what I would say.
And someone else says, never ask your hubby to trim your hair.
Oh, no. Unless your hubby's like Vidal Sassoon, and then that would be totally okay.
Yeah. Yeah. That would, I probably, that would
That
be
was
fraught
dating, wasn't it?
with marital distress.
So I'm loading a little more pigment on and getting some white. And I'm going to come here and come to the top and sort of blend my streak down and just make sure that I've got a nice dramatic field. As I'm coming out, I'm going to load just pure pigment on my sponge like this. See how that is?
Yeah.
And then I'm going to really darken these outer edges, dragging this down very, very lightly.
Now, these layers are really what do the magic here.
Yeah,
isn't it?
because it'll build up and it'll start to look like snow and light and everything. And you really want the drama. Drama.
Yeah, I just loved the coloration and the gradation that was created on this one so much.
Yeah. And it was one of John's favorites.
We
We did a lot of these.
Yep.
If you lose your center, here's the trick. You flip your sponge around to the clean side. You just come get some white. Put as much back in as you need.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
very lightly dragging. So at any point, if you're painting with a little brush or a family member that's very enthusiastic with their sponge or brush or whatever, just remember that things can always be put back. So there's no point in having too much of a worry at any point. Let's add some darker drama to these outside edges. And how I'm going to get that is I'm going to grab my blue, just my pure blue, because it's such a deep color. If you were looking at this on a grayscale, it would actually read as an almost nearly a black. The dioxazine is actually the black on the grayscale, but this is pretty close.
All the
just
Sherpas out
pull
here.
this to the outside.
They're really loving this background. This is one of the biggest responses we've gotten to happy backgrounds here. They said they love how this is coming together. So
I wish I had thought of this when I was doing my original Girls in the Rain.
Huh. Yeah.
Because that would have made that background so easy. If you ever did one of those, I full on invite you to go back and revisit that with this sponge technique.
Yeah. Maybe that's something we can do here on a live session.
Ooh. I'm liking it. So when you get this to where you like it, and I did find like if I had trouble getting it dark enough, I could add a little of my purple in there, just a smidge, and I could come to the outside with that. So you can keep darkening and making more dramatic as you go. A little bit of purple. Purple, interestingly, this is important in seascapes too, mixes pretty well into our phthalo turquoise.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't think it would, but it does. So you want to take your little dark streaks down a little bit so you have room for your snow that's going to be coming up. And when you're done, you should have something right about here. Something like right about that. So how are you guys doing? You use a very dramatic, rainy, interesting little...
Loving this.
Snow. Okay, awesome.
And I want to say...
I'm going to sip my coffee.
Are you going to sip your coffee?
Mm-hmm.
While you're sipping your coffee, I'm going to see if I can push a button. Oh my gosh, the button worked. And
Texas snowflakes.
for all, did you know that we have over 400 people here?
Hi.
So hello everybody. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
We put the bubble machine back in there. We found bubbles at the local bubble party supply, and
There's no music.
there's no music though, so we're just gonna have to go party, party, bubble party. I don't know how that works, but
That was pretty awesome.
that was
John.
pretty
Thank you.
awesome.
I kind of love it. Plus now I have video that it happened, and I can use it against you later.
We're gonna release the music
Uh-oh,
video.
I'm getting over bubbled over on my palette.
Oh no!
It's a sudsy, and my coffee mug is just full of bubbles. I'm sure it's food safe, right?
Yes,
I'm drinking it.
I'm hoping. It's not paint.
It's not paint. Don't eat paint.
Wait, cupcakes or not?
So for the next part, I want you to make sure that your canvas is pretty dry
Yeah.
so that the paint will layer on top well. And again, if you're doing this with a sponge or with a brush, you're going to want to make sure that your bottom layer is dry. I'm going to let John talk to you in his goofy mood.
No more. Oh no. Okay, there it is. Okay, guys. So thank you for coming. Beatbox. No, I do not beatbox. But thank you guys for coming and hanging out with us. It is, again, amazing every time we get to do this and have you guys here with us. So I just appreciate it. I wanted to say thank you for coming and making this awesome thing possible. Don't forget to check out all the amazing resources we have out there. In links in the description below, you'll find a link to the website where we have all the traceables and all the other kind of stuff. This one doesn't need a traceable, though, does it? No. Oh.
Go with the Q-tip flow.
Go with the Q-tip flow.
That would be what it is. Now you've got to do your snow.
All right.
And I like to make like a little bank and then fluff it up with like a very fluffy sponge. So I'll get my other little sponge that I have here, and I'm going to make my snow bank. And here's the trick to snow, because a lot of you guys commented that snow is frustrating.
Now,
You were
this is
not
just a
loving the snow experience. So I'm mixing my blue and my purple, and I'm going to come grab a little bit of my white, and it's going to make kind of this periwinkle. The trick to snow is that you want to create a depth to it, because sometimes when we see things that are white, we forget it has shadow and it has reflection. And to give that effect or feel, you want to make sure that you have some dark value somewhere in your snow. So I'm going to take my little square sponge here, and I'm going to start at the lower right corner. And I'm going to very gently grow a hill. And I just kind of went across on a little fulcrum.
Yeah.
And I'm going to just really just kind of scrub that in.
You're making a hill.
Making a hill. Making a nice, happy little hill.
It's a snowy little hill for our pine.
Snowy little hill.
It's the stage upon which our tree shall rise.
Put out some more white.
I'm not sure how much more we can gild the lily, but
I don't know. You see, you're going for it though. So, so So I'm going to just do this again a little bit with a little bit of white here, making sure that we've got a nice coverage. And plus it's sort of relaxing. It's sort of nice to paint in my little hill. Now you know you've got your tree coming up out of the center of this, but you want to put in the back of your hill before you put in your tree because it's behind the tree. So like if you think about it, we've done sky, then we've got to do the hill, and then we get to do the tree, and then we get to do the foreground snow, because that's how the things will layer out. So to do that, we can either use a sea sponge or we can use our makeshift sponge. And I'm going to demo both so you can see how they differ in texture and effect. I'm going to go ahead, I've got a little blue left and a little green left. I'm going to make just a smidge more of my phthalo turquoise color that I have. I don't need very much at all. And I'm going to first get my sea sponge wet. So sea sponges, they come in little craft packs, and they come like little chicken nuggets or little spiky fellows like this and this. So for this effect, I like to get a little spiky fellow. I'm going to load just a smidge of the turquoise pigment on here. And I tap, 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 tap to get the smidge. So you see how it's like dusted, almost like a blush? And I'm going to come into my white. Tapping, tapping. I'm not really even worried about the purple because these colors would be reflecting in our snow. And I'm just making sure there's a nice dispersion of my white pigment around. And I'm going to start tapping, tapping, tapping this onto my hill. See how I'm going?
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like kind of fluffy. This also makes a really cool grass. There's a whole bunch of stuff. I've done some really big, beautiful landscapes with just sponges that were a lot of fun, and I'm hoping to get to share with you. I'm just tapping that out. Right. Now let me show you what our vandaled kitchen sponge kind of looks like. So it's all fluffy. Now the danger of this is it might drop some little sponge bits onto your canvas, so you definitely want to feel around for those and make sure that there's no little
that
little
sponge,
dive bombers in there.
That sponge has inspired a lot of funny conversations in here.
Oh really?
Yeah. Like what do you never want to hear your hairstylist say? Oops. I was like, oh yeah, no, you don't want to hear that.
So I'm just tapping this around to make sure that this is well delivered, and then I'm gonna just tap this. See?
Yep. Oh,
it also is giving me a pretty weirdly similar uneven edge. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Surprising things.
Just sort of
the versatile kitchen sponge.
You just sort of cut that up yourself.
Yeah, I just cut it up. But see, we're getting a nice uneven fluffy edge, and so that works really well too, and will give you something kind of crazy and interesting. And that's really all I'm asking in my sea sponge, is a crazy and interesting background. Now, we need to make sure though that we have some nice, very light snow at the top. So I'm gonna put a little more white, because my other white's kind of used up. And I'm gonna load again. I'm gonna get right into the white and go fluff, 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 fluff. I'm going to come back here, and at the top of this hill, I'm going to make sure I've got that light color, right, behind where my tree is going to be. Should be pretty light. And I'm not pressing in hard. If I was pressing in hard, it would really smear it. And then come around here and make sure that this is pretty light. I like to make from this corner down to here a little highlight as well, because when we put our tree in, it's going to have a little shadow underneath it. And now to truly do the part where I lighten and darken it, I've got to let this dry a little bit. But since we're not going to just sit and watch my painting dry, because this isn't the sit and watch paint dry show, I'm going to hair dry it. And John's going to visit with you again.
I would.
For a second.
I'm sure she'll be back like really quick. So I'll say, thank you guys. You know, I love you. I love seeing all you guys. I love hanging out with all of you. And, man, it's just, this holiday has been wonderful to be able to have some extra time to hang out with you guys. We look forward to, this Christmas season and the New Year's, because, we're going to be hanging out, seeing you guys as much as we possibly can. Don't forget to check out, there's Cinnamon.
There's cinnamon.
There's
but
cinnamon.
you can check out whatever Doug was saying check out.
Check out whatever you were going to check out. I don't even remember what I was going to say. Oh, I was saying to you, Cinnamon, I was reading here in chat. Some of our community has been really, really busy. Star has done over 14 paintings this holiday season. And I think 10 of them were ours, 2 of them were originals, 2 of them were Angela's. So she's been like over 14 of them. She's been cranking away this holiday season. So I want to give
maker.
Big art high fives there.
So seriously, that's awesome.
I thought that was pretty awesome. So yeah, keep that up. And I know that Lisa, our own Lisa, had been busy painting, and so had Kim. And I even saw Joey out there painting. And
I've seen Robin Hain doing a bunch.
Yeah, so
there's a bunch.
So this is going to be a good.
There's a lot of gifts.
Yeah,
a lot of gifts. All right, I've tapped into some more white snow, and I'm going to come and just make sure this is really a bright white back here. And that since I've dried it, none of the background pigment will pick up into my fluffy background snow. And that gives us a nice little bright white that we can be thinking about and focusing on. Now I want to put this in water so it doesn't dry. And I'm going to rinse it out. You can switch to a nugget, but I want there to be a slightly darker color in the background that's in the texture that we're using. So I've kind of rinsed this out, and I'm going to get some of my purple and some of my aqua and a little white. And I'm going to come here and make sure right here, see where I'm darkening it? Right across here.
Oh yeah.
I'm kind of creating a little dark spot. Because our tree is going to cast a little bit of an environmental and physical shadow. That's pretty awesome. All right, I'm going to let that have a minute. I'll put this in water. Definitely put your sponges in water when you're not using them, because when the acrylic paint dries on them, it's super hard to get out.
Yes.
Now I'm going to show you how to put in the trunk.
A trunk? Like an elephant trunk?
No, the trunk of the tree.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We're doing trees, not elephants.
John did some security covering, which is okay because I actually only needed... This, I cut my own head off. That's so weird. Yeah, that's not weird or awkward in any way. I'm going to load up with some of the weird bits of paint that I have around. I'm going to grab some purple. And I kind of load this up, much like I would a palette knife right there on the edge. Now, you're thinking, but you have a palette knife right there. Why not use it? Because this is a no brush challenge, and that technically is a brush.
And
I'm going to come here. Proving my point. Brushes are awesome, but not necessary. And I'm going to start putting in just a smidge of a tree trunk. So come into the middle of your purple and just sort of tap and drag a little bit to the side. And then I'm going to, as I'm coming up, tap just a smidge and pull a little bit out. Most of this is going to be behind foliage. I'm just helping myself know where my tree is even going to go. I'm just tapping, tapping, tapping. And it's not even leaving a lot of pigment here. I just want to be like, all right, I know my tree's heading up that way, and that's where it is. But I have this part of my trunk which is going to show down here, and I definitely want this. Don't worry about making even or perfect or any of those things. That will just stress your whole non-stress painting moment out and take away all the joy, and we wouldn't want that for any reason. Now, if you have a nugget, grab a nugget. If not, grab your kitchen sponge. And what I mean by nugget is the sea sponge that looks like a little nugget.
a little sponge nugget.
And my chromatic black, that's a black that I haven't used any actual black in, but kind of looks dark, is going to be my green and my purple. I've got it on my little sponge here. And I'm going to tap out a deeper shadow. All of these things I'm showing you here is what you would do if you were painting just a Christmas tree.
Oh, yeah.
Right? With your brush, same thing. Same principles. Right down to don't let the paint dry on your brush.
Now, there's a lot of people who are trying this out for the first time. This is, so I'm really excited to see how many people we have. I want to see all the new paintings posted up on our Facebook page. So, especially Little Brush Daniel, who's doing this for the first time today.
Hi, Daniel. I hope you're having fun. Is it great to get messy? I'm getting kind of messy, too.
Yeah. So we want to see all you guys. Thank you for coming into this. We can't wait to see your paintings.
Daniel, tell your mom that rubbing alcohol removes acrylic paint from just about everything.
Good to know.
All right, I'm going to tap my brush in, not my brush, it's a sponge because it's a brushless painting. I'm going to get into my white. I'm going to let a little of my pigment from previous get on there, but I'm just getting my spiky bits. And now I'm going to make the sort of front bank. And all I'm doing is I'm coming from here and coming down again. And that's going to make a little snow bank that comes in front of my tree. Snow banks are wonderful. Look at our little snow bank in front of the tree. Now we got some perspective, some depth. We got all that stuff. Look at that. Now the tree has a shadow. It's got its snowbank. It's surrounded. And all the rest is just awesome Q-tip and fun. And for that, for the purposes only of my show, because I could put it here. I suppose that's okay because you guys would be going through that. You probably would save your paint. So I'm going to put out some of my yellow ochre. And this would be the same as like craft paint. Right? This would be like like those little bottles of craft paint. Now, mine is golden and it has a lot of pigment and it's never going to fade. And this painting is going to last a shocking amount of time. Somebody's going to be dealing with this later.
Mm-hmm.
Some conservator was like, what? I'm going to put out some white. You could do this with your heavy body paint, though. You don't need to go out and buy some paint. My point about this is that this kind of thing works with just every media. The differences between the paint are pigment loads, archivalness, how quickly they fade out, and the body of paint. And for purposes like we're having fun with our family, not that critical. So I have a bunch of these little three little Q-tips that are bundled together. And the trick on Christmas trees is you want to have a dark color that everything builds up because you want it to look like light is landing on the branches. So I like to start with a darker color. And for this golden tree, because I wanted it to glow, I'm using yellow ochre as my base. Now, doing this Christmas tree is not going to be that different from whenever we've done pine trees together. I'm going to take my Q-tips and I'm going to try to just tap a little bit, not even all three. So I'm just sort of tipping it so I can get like one Q-tip. You could do all three. It's not really critical, but I want to get a little point going up here. And I'm going to start pulling out a little branch. So I'm tapping out a little branch. Tap, 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 tap. Do, 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 do.
And this is that beautiful, that goldeny yellow undercoating.
Yeah, well, this creates enough depth for the cadmium to dance on and to give it that sense of having shadow but yet being a glow.
Because cadmium needs a stage upon which it can dance.
That's right. Well, this is cadmium hue, so.
So it doesn't need a stage. It can just be on the sidewalk.
It doesn't need a stage. And this particular brand of paint, its cadmium hue matches its cadmium pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
So it does not require a special product. So you can see I'm just trying to create this subtle thing. So see as each branch is coming out a little bit wider?
Yeah.
I'm going to do it again and show you how I'm doing this. I'm tapping out my little tree and making sure it's pretty busy in the center. And then I'm going to bring a little branch out and I go tap, 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 tap. And you will find that if you rock your bunch of Q-tips, you can get one, you can get two, or you can get three contacting the canvas. And it's that difference that lets you create the shape of the branch. I always like to pull some branches out that are, I like it to be uneven and crazy and weird and tree-like. This magical forest tree.
Mm-hmm.
Magical forest tree. This is just really a lot of fun. I have been waiting to Q-tip Christmas trees with you guys for a while.
This is, yeah. And
you can see how I'm rocking out onto a single Q-tip, and then I'll come back and hit with all three when I need big space. And I have two ends of my tool here because I've got this end, and if this end were to get fluffy, I could just go flip and flip the script. Right? If you are having to do generic Q-tips, cotton buds, right? Not the beauty kind and not a brand kind, and then finding that they're fluffy, remember that you can do mouth sizing, which is kind of twirling the Q-tip in your mouth. Clean one, not a painty one. In the direction of the twirl, and you let it dry, and the saliva sort of tightens it up and prevents the fluff. I thought of demoing it, but then I thought that's a little gross. Just be like, bleh. I think I've done it before, but I'm one of those sewers that does that with my thread too. Now, as you're coming down here, if your dark purple paint is getting into it because it hasn't dried yet, you can go ahead and hit that with a hairdryer, because I see that I'm getting that. So I'm going to do that real quick.
Okay. So while she's doing that, I'm just going to say, hey, everybody. Cool to see you here. I'm only imagining that she's going to be gone long enough for me to start saying something important to you, only to have to stop in the middle and go back over to her. So I guess now she's going to prove me wrong and continue to do this for... Oh, no, see, there she goes.
Oh, I'm just under the belief that it's dry now.
No, it's fine. I just, this is like, I was like, I don't know how long she's going to be gone this time. I don't know if it's going to be a little time or
hard to say sometimes, right?
You just never know.
So when you're building a pine, remember that you have forward-facing branches that come to the side, that it's narrow at the top, and it's going to be a little wider at the bottom, because those will be its oldest, most established branches, these being the new ones as it's growing up.
So now there was a couple questions in here. Some people were asking, they're coming up on Christmas, and their loved ones were asking, if they wanted some pro paints, and whether they should get heavy body paints or soft bodied paints, and that kind of comes down to what you're going to try to get out of your paints, doesn't it?
It really does. What I'll say is that there's a lot of paint companies out there. A lot of people making acrylic paint now. I'm leery of a lot of the stuff that I just find online from a company that hasn't been in business a while and doesn't have a website. I would definitely look for a website, some customer service, some reviews if you're shopping, something that's very new to the market. What you want out of your paint is it to have great coverage. So you don't want it to be so transparent you're having to paint the same thing over and over again. Mm-hmm. And you want it to have great customer service behind it.
Yep. Right.
So a great website and established relationship with the people that use that product. And there's a lot of companies from plaid to golden that do that, like that full range where you have, that support. So if you have a problem with your product, you've got somebody to talk to. You want to get the best product that your budget allows.
Right.
Right. So don't try to get way above your budget and then be stressed because you're having financial problems. That would completely ruin painting. But just get what you can, and then you can also upgrade if you're having problems with your paint one color at a time.
Right. Yeah.
So you don't have to fix it all in one foul swoop. You can be like, well, I'm out of white now. I guess I can upgrade my white.
Yeah.
Remember, sales are powerful.
And that's a good way to dip your toe in it. There's no reason to just go out there and buy all the paints. You can start out by going, all right, well, I'm going to get some titanium white and some Mars black and maybe some cad yellow or something and see what you like. And, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a lot of good companies out there right now.
So, yeah.
I'm going to tap into my yellow a little bit, Mr. Cooney.
But whether you use heavy body or fluid, that's really kind of up to your painting style.
That really is. So the difference is that heavy body holds its structure, its body.
Right.
So you can do impasto, you can do a lot of stuff, and you can modify it to be like this with a medium. Fluid paint tends to self-level, doesn't leave brush strokes behind, is really great for smoother paint applications. Right, where you don't want to see the brush stroke and you're not trying to dry brush or do any of those things, man, fluid is fantastic. All right, I'm going to definitely I'm not going to try to get all the way to the top. I'm going to do that with a single Q-tip, but I'm going to come to the top of each branch, leaving a little bit of this darker color below. I might even bring some down into the tree showing forward-facing branches, but I want to leave that shadow. You need a shadow. I'm going to be here, and it's going to be more focused, except where I have little branches coming in, on these outward guys, like light and snow and all kinds of things are catching it. Right? So we're leaving the center deeper. You're like, this is a lot of thought for a Q-tip painting.
But, I really like how the Q-tip does this effect.
I think what I'm very grateful for that the Q-tip process, this Q-tip technique has brought in is that this idea, sometimes we get caught up in the idea that the art is in our tools or in some like strange magic resource when it really was just in us all along.
Yeah.
And it's just about remembering value, dark in the center of the tree, getting lighter out on the branches, and shape and layering. And whether you're painting with a sponge or a very expensive set of brushes and paints, the process kind of remains the same. And I find sometimes people are so open-minded about the Q-tip process that they get into painting, realize that it's fun and it's possible, and then they move on to more complicated subjects. But from a place of knowing they can, and I think that's beautiful. This is so inviting to everybody, and it makes art, we get so serious about our art sometimes, and it keeps it fun and playful. And I love that it's staying fun and playful, because art should be fun and playful. In general, we take up painting to relax and let go of things like holiday stress.
Yeah.
Not add more anxiety and stress to our life.
Right.
I read everybody's comments on just everywhere you guys say anything. I'm just constantly out there reading, and it's so funny. Like, sometimes it seems like you take up painting to relax, and then you get so stressed about the painting process you forget to relax.
Right. You're like so stressed about your paint practice that you forget to, hey, wait, this was where I was supposed to not be stressed.
And to enjoy it, because that's its purpose.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I'm really bad about, is I turn all my hobbies into jobs.
You do.
Although I do tend to turn my jobs into hobbies as well. So
right. I'm very glad that, well, I don't know, because now you've got the Sherpa Guild, but I love the World of Warcraft thing you're doing.
It's, I have to say, I've been really intrigued. Nikki was saying that she was out, that she had been out power leveling with some of the other girls. So I was like, awesome.
So I'm pulling down a little branch here, and I'm going to bring it out here. And you can see every once in a while I pulled a little color in the center, but not too much.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't want too much. Oops, it just got a little, really that urgent. Putting this here. Tree might be even more glowy than its friend. Now I can grab a whole new bunch of Q-tips, or I can just flip it over and take a little yellow dusting, see how small? And go right into my white.
Ooh, that's a good question. So Amber was asking, if I don't have any Q-tips, can I use more sponge?
You could absolutely do this whole tree with a sponge, and you could just do this whole tree with a brush.
You could just use a brush and just dab with the brush.
There's an easy Christmas tree video that I have, and it's real fast. It's like 15 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Really short. And you would just use that technique with this tree. Yeah. Work just as well.
Then you could use this background with that. You could mix and match.
Mix and match these ideas, man. That is the stepping stone to originality, is taking tutorials that you like and take one technique from one and move it into another.
And if you do that, please share how you did it. Say, I used this background from this video, and I used this tree from this video, and I made this cool new painting. We totally want to see all that.
See how I'm putting a lot of it out on this little edge and some in the middle. Some in the middle, because the snow's going to land there, right? Over there, and then maybe it comes down here. I'm imagining when I'm doing this, I'm imagining both light and snow landing on branches. That's kind of how I guide myself, how I might want to do this. So like I've kind of implied a double branch here, and I enforce that by how I lay out that snow.
Mm-hmm.
Or light. And you can always tap in a little of the yellow into your white, so you can be balancing out between these dark white and a bright yellow. Your branches can be lighter in these outer edges, where light's shining through them, snow's catching everywhere. It's sort of fun to imagine where the snowflakes might fall. That's relaxing. Where did my snowflakes fall? Tap, 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 tap. Here. All these places. And snow's good for the tree. Keeps the tree warm.
It does. It creates a little warm blanket that keeps the wind and cold air off.
Just bring this out here. I think it's kind of fun. You know, we love to do these pre-recorded, but I think it's kind of fun to do some of these live so you guys can see me working through my process a little bit.
I love to read the chat.
Yeah?
Yeah, because then you know, I get to say things like, you know, that they have a fever, and the only thing that can cure that fever is more sponge. So they're looking forward to some more sponge.
Is that really happening in chat?
Well, chat will understand.
Okay, if you're on the replay, that was really funny, but you had to be here.
So there's lots of everyone is making the cowbell references from Saturday Night Live, and so they would definitely like more sponge in this painting.
Oh, good, because there's more sponge.
There's more sponge coming?
Well, no, just in general, more sponge videos are coming.
Oh, okay.
You know, besides for this week, man, so initially I was like, could you paint with a sponge? And then once I started asking that question and the answer ended up being yes, I'm pulling down just a little bit of, you can kind of see where I'm bringing down like a little branch here. And then you can blend it, interestingly, by just lightly tapping a little white in there. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Let me see how that's looking. So I'm, you know, trying to answer this question is, can you? And then I was like, not only can you, but you can paint like wet streets with beautiful pink trees and lots of fluffy bushes, and you can get all the reflections correct. And I was like, wait. And then I was like, oh, you can do swamps. Uh-oh, you can do lakes. Uh-oh, you can do anything frozen. Uh-oh, I think I can do somebody in an umbrella. Oh my goodness, it's a whole thing. And so John's been like, I've vases of flower. It's crazy.
We have piles of canvases that have been painted, and they're, I mean, it's a sponge apocalypse up in here.
But I think the important lesson from these works is that, you know, again, the art's in you, and it was certainly in me, and it came out this sponge. And I like the idea that you could do this with just craft paint and a kitchen sponge.
Yeah.
If you needed to, and that was important. If you're painting with a little brush, or you are a little brush, remember that there is not a perfect tree out there. That's not how trees are. And you might have an idea of a tree in your head and feel a little overwhelmed and frustrated when you're painting it, if it's not being exactly that. But I want you to just relax and realize that your tree, as long as you finish, is going to be awesome. And the point of painting isn't to be perfect or get a good grade. The point of painting is to enjoy all the color. Now I'm all done with that. I'm going to rescue one of these Q-tips out of my rubber bands if I can.
That's a lot of the reason why you're using these tools, is so that anyone can pick up anything and paint.
That's right. Anyone can pick up anything and paint. It is, people are, there's a guy doing amazing work on the back of dirty cars.
You painted with coffee earlier. I saw it. I got a video of it.
And tea and wine, beet juice. All right, so I'm getting a little yellow and a little white on just one Q-tip.
Uh-oh.
And I'm going to come here, and you can do some detail work with one Q-tip. In fact, you can do some pretty incredible detail work with one Q-tip. I'll just kind of demo a little of that.
It's the one Q-tip method.
It's the one Q-tip method by TheArtSherpa. Which is kind of pointillism, so I don't want to take too much credit for it.
I'm just giving you a hard time. I didn't know that I was invoking an art movement.
Well, I mean, so all it takes for an art movement to be a thing is a whole bunch of people need to do it and collect it and be excited about it. So if you guys paint enough Q-tip and sponge paintings, believe it or not, it becomes its own movement.
It's just, you have to be careful about that.
Whether they want it to be or not. If you lose too much of your tree down in the snow, remember you can put some yellow back to help it show up. See?
Yeah.
So don't get frustrated or go, oh no, like I've messed up or any of that, because this is Q-tip painting and that's really not the point. Now, I feel a little dishonest because I do sign the paintings with a brush. I had thought about doing a thumbprint, but then I was like, well, that's really like not what I normally do. So,
so we draw little eyes and ears on the thumbprint, two little feet. We have it walking around in the snow.
I am going to be a little cheeky for the grown-ups in the room. There's a couple that will start cracking up as soon as I do this. I'm going to sign over here.
Yeah, I guess so. Well.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you guys for coming and joining us today. Make sure we get a good shot of that.
Okay. I hope you guys are doing okay this holiday season. I hope you're safe. I hope you're fed. I hope you're warm. I hope you're healthy. I hope you're with the people and beings that you love, be it furry pets or scaled or fished or feathered or just. I just hope you're in your best, happiest place. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. And I want to see you at the easel really soon. Bye-bye.